It's showtime.
Hello and welcome back to Musical Lyrical Lingo. We're your hosts, Tim
And LJ. Today and every week we talk about musicals and specifically what they taught us. So Timothy, how's your week been?
Yeah, it's been long and tiresome, so I think this is going to be like therapy for me today. A bit of relaxation and talking rubbish together for a wee while.
Getting ready for the weekend?
Yes, it's nearly the weekend. It's bad when you live for weekend to weekend, isn't it? Like there's something wrong there. That shouldn't be a thing.
No. But then this is a good weekend because it's coming up to a bank holiday.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, a wee longer rest and recovery period.
Not quite early on setting those alarms.
That's true, and I have a ball to go to on Saturday night, so I'm getting dressed up in my tux.
Oh,
I
nice.
actually think I might feel like a bit of a character that we're talking about
gangster?
today. Yeah, gangster. We're talking gangsters today. Are we giving too much away already?
No.
What about you? How are you?
Yeah, all good. All good. Again, busy week, but I like being busy. Keeps me out of mischief.
It does that. Something needs to keep you out of mischief, that's for sure. Here, it has
What?
come to my attention that
What?
I might have embarrassed myself in the last episode.
Why?
Well, apparently it's not a thing that people don't know what Ovaltine is.
Yeah, I did tell you. I was shocked. What?
I don't get it. No, why would I have ever come across that in my life?
But what do you mean, why would you ever have come across it? It's like a really common drink.
Not in my cupboard.
I mean, it definitely is something that you would have drank.
Well, there we go. So I'm sorry if people out there are going, what? How does
What
he
a
not
fool!
know? Yeah, how does he not know this drink? But I don't. I will have to try it now. You say I will like it.
Well, I think if you like those malty sweets that most people like.
Yeah,
I
that
don't-
we can't
that
say.
we can't
Are we
say.
not allowed? Is that a
Well,
rule?
I just,
Got
you
you.
know, yeah.
Are those the ones covered in chocolate and come in a red bag?
Yes.
Okay, got
yeah.
you.
Yeah, but other versions may be available.
We could be taken off the air at any time. Okay. So if I like those crunchy sweets,
Yes.
I'll like this drink. Right,
Yeah.
well, I'll have to give it a go, but I may have a bucket beside me just in case.
No, do you know what? I'm going to make you. I'm going to be the one that experiences it with you.
Just
That's
to
weird.
see it all. Yeah, that sounds a bit wrong. Okay. Shall we move on to this week's musical, Lauren?
Perhaps we should. Perhaps we should. Okay, so are you ready to introduce our listeners to this week's musical?
I sure am, yeah. This week's musical is another golden classic, isn't it?
It's fab.
It's Guys and Dolls.
We're just a crazy bunch of guys and dolls.
Which is not a song from that show.
No, but
okay.
you can't not
Yeah.
say it. Simpsons has ruined everybody for
you know,
guys and dolls.
I will get taken off the air, but I have never watched a full episode of Simpsons, I don't think, in my life.
Well,
no, it's not for me.
No.
But anyway, yeah, so Guys and Dolls is this week's musical. Guys and Dolls was lauded by the very famous choreographer Bob Fosse as the greatest American musical of all time. Did you know that?
I didn't.
Well, I mean, it's just his opinion, I suppose, but I mean, he knew his stuff, so... Yeah.
And very different style for him.
For him,
so,
yeah, no, I know. I thought that was quite interesting in my research. And it's also amongst the most beloved of its genre and a show that is revived again and again. But I think there's probably a reason for that.
Yeah.
It is
It's awesome. Do you know how many times it has been revived?
No.
4.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Which is quite a lot, I suppose,
Yeah.
for a classic.
A classic, yeah.
Yeah. The origins of this musical is also really interesting. So, a Kansas-born newspaperman, Damien Runyon, and that name is important. We'll come back to that later. He So he was a newspaperman. He wrote stories in newspapers back in the day. He also just so happened to be a gambler himself and an associate of mobsters. So he wrote several short stories in the 1930s, and these tales were all about hustlers and gangsters and gamblers and the women in their lives. And to adapt Runyon's stories, producers hired the tough-talking composer and lyricist Frank Lesser. And he quickly produced 14 songs of an unusual range and richness, because actually the songs in the show were very different. They don't kind of follow a pattern. They're quite... all of them are quite unique in their own style. And the composer's work was so well received that then the script was simply written to follow the flow of Lesser songs.
Oh, I know.
So the songs came first before the script.
Yeah,
I
that's
thought that
interesting.
was I thought that was very interesting. So the story, what's it all about, Lauren?
What's it all about?
Yeah, that's a different musical.
I know
you're
it
singing.
is.
So the story of Guys and Dolls is set in 1930s New York. Con man and gambler Nathan Detroit has to find a new home for his illegal dice game, but he doesn't have enough money. So to solve this problem, he bets Sky Masterson, a high-stakes gambler, that he won't succeed in taking a doll chosen by Nathan on a date to Havana, Cuba. Sky agrees to the bet, and Nathan chooses Sarah Brown of Broadway's Save a Soul mission, like kind of the Salvation Army of today. Whilst persuading Sarah to make the trip, Sky Masterson falls in love with her, and the rest is history.
Indeed.
So, that's this week's musical, Lauren. Are you excited?
So excited. I love this musical.
I was about to say, what are your opinions?
I do really love this musical.
You're a fan?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think as you've mentioned there, the music is all very different and the songs are unique, and they all I don't know, give a new development of each of the characters that sing the songs. I think it's a great ensemble piece.
Especially if you're a boy.
Yeah, wow, it's another one. Like, it really is. And I think it's just fun. It's just good fun.
And tell me something.
What?
Did you learn a lot from this show?
Yeah, so this show, we were involved in it.
Yeah.
About 2010.
That's right, yeah.
But I had heard of it and a few of the songs before that. So I've got two different learnings, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So before you did and then when you were involved.
Yeah. So I think I probably would have only have seen the movie with Frank Sinatra.
Of course, yeah.
Am I right? Yeah.
I didn't even mention the movie, yeah. So who else was in the movie?
Marlon Brando.
Yeah, he played Sky Masterson, didn't he?
So I would have watched that a few times whenever I was younger. It would have been one of those ones that would have just been on, and we definitely had a CD of it somewhere. And I don't think I seen any productions of it until we were involved in it. Yeah. So I did, learn a lot.
Good. Shall we get to it then? Yeah, Shall we talk about this week's musical lyrical lingo?
Indeed. So do you want me to go first?
Why not? You always do go first with your musical lyrical lingos. It puts me at ease when you do yours first, to be fair.
Okay. Right, so I was introduced to the musical pretty young, so it introduced me to Salvation Army.
Hold on. This is your excuse for every musical we've done so far.
I know, but I'm just really worried that people are going to think I don't know anything.
What is it? What is that warning? What's the name given to warnings you give before, like pre-warning? Like, this is my excuse.
Oh, right,
what is it? There's a name for it. It'll come to me.
Okay.
So this is your excuse.
Yeah, well, I suppose because what musical lyrical lingo learning is all about is what the musical taught us.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to be a lyric.
True.
Okay?
I love how you're trying.
I know, I really am.
Justify yourself. You don't need to justify yourself.
Okay.
This is our podcast.
Okay.
We can say whatever we want.
True.
So, Salvation Army.
I didn't know what the Salvation Army were.
Okay.
You know, I just never come across the Salvation Army.
Well, that's fair enough, you know. And you would have gone to church and stuff like that. But it's a completely different. Although it's a religion, it's completely different unless you are
involved
in a family that would go to the Salvation Army. I get that.
I think that was it, and I think I maybe thought that it was made up just for the musical.
Oh, wow, right, okay.
So I didn't realise the Salvation Army was a real thing.
Was a thing?
Yeah, it was a real thing. And also, the whole musical taught me a lot about gambling.
Yes, well, that's true.
You know.
What, you weren't an expert in
No, I certainly
gambling?
wasn't.
No,
an
okay.
expert whenever
Are you now? Like, could you, like, get involved in a game of poker? Would you know how to play it and how it works?
No, I'm pretty good at blackjack.
Okay.
And I'm pretty good at, like, roulette.
Okay.
I think that's...
I don't have a clue about any of those things you just said. I couldn't play one of them. Have no idea how you play poker. And there's been times in the past where people have been like, oh yeah, do you want to come round for like a poker night? Or we're gonna... And I'm like, make up an excuse.
Yeah.
Any excuse you can come up with to not have to go round, because I have no idea.
No, well, I would enjoy gambling whenever I'm in Vegas.
Okay, you have been a few times to Vegas.
You're
a fan of the Vegas Strip, are you?
Yeah, a fan, but it's mainly the machines.
Yeah, okay.
You know, it's the slots.
Yeah.
And you don't really have to do too much. And it's mainly the ones that have the features, which you get to play a little bit extra or a game and the noise and take me back to Vegas. I want to be there. But
I've never been.
Yeah, like the excitement of watching people around a table playing craps, which is what they play in Guys and Dolls a lot. That's really exciting. And Dad and I, whenever we go to Vegas, we keep saying, "Oh, let's play a game." And we never get around to it.
Okay, there's just so much else to do.
Yeah, but we will one day. We will.
Gamble sensibly, people.
Yeah, please.
Know your limits
know
and
your
stop
limits.
when it's time to stop.
Well done.
We are so good at putting out the warnings today.
Yeah, really thinking about others, aren't we?
Always.
Yeah.
Do you know Las Vegas isn't somewhere that's even on my radar?
Well,
I would be
you
not
are
interested.
missing out.
Am I?
Totally.
Do you think if I went, I would love it?
Absolutely.
I
can't explain it. Like, and nobody can explain it until you're there.
Okay.
It is, like, my kids love Vegas. And they're obviously not gambling because they're under 21.
Yeah.
So if they have an amazing time in Vegas and they're not doing what Vegas is known for, then of course you would have a great time. It's wonderful. Even just the architecture.
Okay.
Oh, it's so good.
I'll maybe put it on the list somewhere.
Definitely do.
Yeah.
But I'm coming with you. You're
okay,
not
yeah.
Without me.
I can't experience Vegas for the first time without you. Okay. We could maybe do, like, think big, Lauren. If this podcast, like, does really well, we could take it on tour, do it live from Vegas.
Oh my goodness, with Vegas showgirls and everything.
Okay, let's go. You've sold it. Mention a Vegas showgirl, I am there. Very good.
Love it.
So you didn't know about Salvation Army and you didn't know about gambling.
Yeah. So that's kind of what the musical taught me altogether. And then I have a couple of things from songs.
Nice.
So number one is, I did not know that bushel and a peck from the song Bushel and a Peck is a measurement.
Yes, nor did I. This is one of mine.
I did not know this. I just thought a bushel and a peck was... Actually, to be honest, I have no idea why she was singing that.
Yeah.
I just was like, oh, right, a bushel and a peck. But whenever I looked into it, I was like, it's like saying I love you lots.
Exactly. So this is one of Adelaide's songs in the show, isn't it? So Adelaide would be Nathan Detroit's long-term doll, basically. And she's just desperate to get married, and he keeps putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. But her job, she performs in a club.
Yeah.
And it's a number she performs in the club. I love you, a bushel and a peck. Now, I'm the same as you. Hadn't a clue that it was a measurement. And I thought, because a lot of the time it's performed, they're like in like farm gear. Do you know, like they're working on the farm?
Okay, yes.
So they've got their milk churns and they're wearing their gingham and they've got their hair in pink tails. And I thought peck
Yeah.
Was like chicken, feed the chickens. Because she talks about feeding the chickens. Had no idea that it was a measurement. No. That means a lot. I love you a lot. Loads.
I know. Isn't that brilliant?
But so clever. Like, it shows how clever the writing is.
Yeah, and obviously that was probably a saying.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it was. That's it.
Like, I love you a bucket load. You know, it's probably not a common expression now, but I'm just trying to think.
We say that.
Yeah.
I love you a bucket load.
But
I love you very much.
I love you very much.
Yeah.
Bushel and a peck. Yes,
but
I found
so
that
clever.
so interesting.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so didn't know that.
Snap.
And then from the song Guys and Dolls, I didn't know that a rover meant a wanderer.
Okay.
So there's the word rover about somebody who they're now sitting watching the TV, who used to be a rover.
Who used to be once.
And I was like, a rover? Like, what's a rover? But it was somebody that would have maybe gambled or gone out or wandered about.
Disappeared.
Or, you know, just, maybe got into trouble and come back like 3 days later or something like that. So
we've all been there.
Yeah, I learned that. Okay. And then in the song, is it Tin? No, I've forgotten now.
The fugued.
Yes, that's
fugued
that one.
Tin Horn,
okay.
the one to begin with the 3 fellas.
Yes.
Yeah.
In that one, the expression "a bum steer," that means false information.
Yeah, we've all had a bum steer, haven't we? Sometime in our life, someone's given us a bit of a dodgy piece of information that wasn't quite
wrong advice.
True. Yeah.
Wrong advice. And then, of course, the big massive word, which probably I live my life to on a daily basis, is from Adelaide's Lament, and it's psychosomatic.
Psychosomatic symptoms.
And that means where you create a physical illness.
Yeah.
But from your mind. Yeah. Your mind creates it.
Yeah.
And I definitely do that on a daily basis.
So you're like a real life Adelaide.
1000%.
Oh, love it.
My poor dad is tortured. Dad, my left foot is slightly sore. What does this mean? Yeah. So
don't we all have a bit of that in us?
Well, like health anxiety or just
like
making up illnesses?
Well, yeah, no, I don't think we make illnesses up, but like you have a small pain and you're like, what could it possibly be?
Yeah. But I don't think
maybe that's just dramatic people.
I think it's dramatic people, but it may just be us, but it's definitely not normal.
Okay,
because there's many people I talk to about that, and they're like, you need to go get some help.
Yeah, you need to calm down, Lauren. Calm down. It's fine.
It's fine. It's okay.
Yeah. But you're just channeling Miss Adelaide.
That's it.
That's what it is.
That's it, yeah. It's just the music. The musical characters are coming out in loads of different ways.
Don't they always, in many aspects of our life?
Yeah.
Yeah, every day is a different character, let's be honest.
Well, you wouldn't want it any other way, would you? Life would be very boring.
Just depends on the mood, doesn't it?
A musical for every season.
So is that your musical lyrical lingos then?
They're all my musical lyrical lingos.
That was a lot. You had a lot from Guys and Dolls.
I know, I did. I think because the musical overall taught me something, so it was slightly different this week. What about you?
Very good. Yeah, well, I obviously had similar ones to you. Mm-hmm. I also didn't know that a crap game was a dice game.
Okay.
So it's
Did you just think it meant crap?
Yeah, I didn't really know what it meant, to be honest. Then there's also a song called The Oldest Establishment, which the gangsters sing at the beginning of the show. And there's a line about well-heeled shooters.
Okay.
And I thought it was just people who wore fancy shoes, right? But it's actually, well, people who play craps, rolling the dice, and they're quite wealthy. They're well-heeled shooters. So I didn't know that. Follow the fold and stray no more. Follow the fold means to join the group. Didn't know that.
Nope, didn't know that either. No.
I've got a few from Adelaide's Lament as well. She talks about having the streptococci lurk. I didn't know what that was. So streptococci is a bacteria that can lead to lots of sickness, including strep throat.
I did know that.
Did you? I didn't know that. Now, you see, me and biology wouldn't go together. I probably just scraped through double award science, to be honest.
Well, I didn't even do double award science, so...
Well, I maybe shouldn't have done double word science.
Again, that probably should have been one that I said in my musical lyric lingo, because I do remember at one point asking my dad what strep meant, and then he was able to explain it. So
you were going, Dad, I have strep to I'd learn. That's exactly what it was. In fact, you probably have cited most of Adelaide's Lament at some point to your poor father.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie.
The song's all about her and all her many illnesses, all of which we've now established from Lauren's musical lyrical lingo aren't actually there, but she's just struggling with the fact that Nathan Detroit won't marry her.
I know.
So she's coming up with all these wild illnesses that she has. She also says if she's tired of getting the fisheye from the hotel clerk, do you know what getting the fisheye means?
Is that like when somebody's hitting on her?
Well, it's wide-eyed, unblinking expression. So basically the hotel clerk keeps looking at her. Now, looking at her because she's attractive, or looking at her as to why is she still hanging around Nathan Detroit after all these years and he still hasn't put a ring on it? Like, why are you wasting your time, love? Yeah. I think that's probably what that line means, but I didn't know that at all. You can feed her all day with the vitamin A and the bromo fizz. Do you know what bromo fizz is? So it's basically like Alka-Seltzer.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
So it makes sense, the fizz part. I love things like that. You know, Barocas and stuff. Oh, am I allowed to say the name? You know those fizzy, like vitamin, like supplementy things that you put into water and they like they fizz and stuff. I love all that. It's one good way of getting your vitamins, Lauren. A person can develop la grippe, she talks about.
Yeah.
Do you know what la grippe is? So la grippe is an old-fashioned term for flu, especially Spanish flu.
Oh, so which was a very bad killer.
Yeah, absolutely. Not for Adelaide, because there was nothing wrong with her.
No, yeah.
I also have one from Guys and Dolls, the number Guys and Dolls. When a lazy slob gets a good steady job, he smells from Vitalis and Barbasol. Do you know what Vitalis and Barbasol is? What do you think? They were brands of hair tonic and aftershave, which makes sense.
Okay.
But you know, if you've never heard of it before, I was like, what is that? And then probably one of my favourite songs in the whole musical, Sit Down, You're Rockin the Boat.
Oh,
I love that song. He sings about, and there I stood and I hollered, someone fade me. Someone fade me.
Are you sure that's lyrics?
Yeah.
Okay. I was definitely not singing the right words.
I love it. This could be an episode all of its own, like misheard.
Oh,
lyrics.
1,000%. Yeah. Because definitely in our dance trip, there was many a times we were not singing the right words.
So what did you sing
I don't know.
Wasn't Fade Me?
I think it was Feel.
Feel Me?
Yeah.
And there I stood and I hollered, someone fail me.
Yes!
Lauren.
Well, I was never actually singing that line, but I just mean, I am deaf, by the way, so let's just...
And there's another excuse.
Shut up.
So, fading in non-casino gambling refers to someone putting up money against your bet. So it's actually necessary when there's no casino house to bet against. I didn't know that. I think realise...
I blanked out there.
Yeah, exactly. Because the song's all about... So, Sit Down, You Rockin the Boat, all the gamblers, basically, as part of a gamble again, say, okay, we'll go to the Save a Soul mission for a night, and we'll pretend to be all good and holy and soul-saving creatures, but they're basically there just as a bet. So, Nicely Johnson sings that song, and most of it he's acting like, oh, I'm such a good person, you know, I'm here to be saved. So I didn't actually realise when I first came across that song that line was like a gambling reference.
Ah, okay.
So even in the Save a Soul mission, he was referencing to gambling.
Okay.
Which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing.
They were really fun.
Yeah, I know. I've got one more.
Oh,
calm down.
Sorry.
So, in I'll Know, which I'll probably talk about this number later. It's one of the. It's can you call it a love story? It's the first love song. Sorry, it's the first song.
It's
Sky
the real
and
ballad, isn't
Sarah.
it?
Yeah, it's one of theirs. Yeah. Sky and Sarah sing it when they first kind of meet each other. And he's talking about how Sarah's, she has this grand idea of the person she will meet and fall in love with, and he's basically going, yeah, dead on. And he sings, "You have wished yourself a Scarsdale Galahad," talking about this future man she has. Do you know what Scarsdale Galahad means?
No.
So Scarsdale was an affluent suburb in New York City.
Okay.
And then Galahad is the knight.
Oh, yeah.
One of King Arthur's knights. So he's basically saying that Sarah's ideal man is going to be boring, because they're going to be from an affluent, boring,
and he's just going to be a knight, which...
Whereas you want a gambler, really, don't you, as your
little
partner?
bit of mystery and mischievousness.
I'm not so sure. Don't know if that's a good idea, Sarah. Stick to your Scarsdale Galahad. So there you go. That's my musical lyrical lingos.
Very good.
Very intellectual this week, I feel.
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot learned there.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot. So what are your links to the show? You kind of mentioned briefly at the beginning that you came across it twice in your lifetime.
Yeah, so definitely just knowing the musical, knowing the movie, and then we got to do it in 2010. And that was fun. Really fun, but also that was the year I got married, so this is before I got married, so this is like the start of the year, and then I was getting married towards the end. So I think for me it was like, one final
I was going to say, was that one of your last shows you did?
Wow. I'm actually pretty sure it was my last show.
No way, I didn't know that coming into this podcast. Oh wow.
I'm pretty sure it was my last show that I did. Yeah, because I had kids then quite quickly after, so was my last full show. I would have done like a few sort of like performances here and there, but like not a full show.
Not a full production.
Yeah.
And how did you feel about it at the time?
I loved it. Yeah. And I think as well there was a lot of us doing it who were around the same age, and we'd gone to uni and then we were home.
That's right, yeah.
So it was loads of fun.
Yeah.
And there was real dance numbers in it.
You're telling me.
Oh, I know, you were in charge of all of them.
Yeah. That's I forget all of that like we had kind of gone and done uni, or like we'd all like dispersed and gone like we weren't even in the same country. Some of us went across the water to uni, but then a lot of us did find yourselves back home again. Not me, I'm a homebird. I didn't go anywhere but Bangor, Northern Ireland.
Belfast, give yourself a little bit of credit.
On the train and back again, like, let's calm down. So it was a reunion of sorts.
Yeah, and it was, I just remember it being a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I think because the show lends itself to that, it is a little bit, about gambling and all of that. But the costumes were always great.
Yeah.
The story is funny, like really funny. And as a person in the chorus, it was enjoyable to watch as well as be part of.
It was a lovely, lovely group, I can remember. We even had like our old drama teacher from school involved in the production too, and just things like that make it really special, doesn't it? Because it's a different relationship at that point,
Absolutely, we were in our early 20s then.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it was lovely. I really remember the after show party at your parents' house.
Okay.
And that was just fun. I think we did a lot of karaoke.
Sounds about right. Yeah, let's be honest.
But that was really entertaining as well, and it was just one of those, we just didn't want obviously you rehearsed for so many months.
Yeah.
And then you're with each other all the time, and then you do the show and you've got all that adrenaline, and then the after show party is just like a lovely way of like getting rid of all that. Yeah. But although
I find now, like in the last number of years, say the last like 5-6 years, being a bit older now, by the time you come to the after show, I'm just exhausted. I'm like,
I'm ready to be done.
Yeah, I'm ready for a wee lie down after that week. Do you know what I mean? After the week that has been production week, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm busted. Like, I'm not getting out of bed. Maybe it's just age. Tomorrow, I think it probably is age. Yeah, I fond memories of this one too. I've been in it twice, and then I obviously choreographed the one that you were in. I remember nearly killing people though in the version you were in, like getting those fellas moving.
But you didn't have dancers. Not all of them.
Well, be careful what you say now, Lauren, because people might be listening and
no,
get
as
offended.
in, I mean, you didn't have... We had been doing it for such a long time. I'm trying to be very diplomatic. You know, we have maybe been involved in dance when we were 4.
Yeah.
And some of these male dancers wouldn't have been involved in dance for that long.
But it was brilliant. I remember it. Do you know what? It's a full-on show for dancing. Like you don't stop. There's so many numbers. And then, of course, you've got something called the Crapshooters Ballet. Again, another show taking us back to our Oklahoma episode, where there's like this big, massive dance piece thrown in to the middle, and it was basically a gambling game, you know, a dice game, crap game.
And that's usually set underground, isn't it?
Yeah, they did in the sewers. Yeah. They did it in the sewers. And... I like it just being the lads. Yeah. Because in those days when it was set, it would have just been the lads. And I know some productions, because they do struggle sometimes to get enough lads in to do all the gangsters, things like Crapshooters Ballet, they maybe would put a few girls in, put a wee trilby hat on and stuff like that. But I
you like to keep it authentic?
Yeah, I would prefer to keep it the fellas, because it would have only been the fellas there. And I had them doing knee spins and all, and I do think I ruined a poor fella's knees. Like, I do see him every so often, like, walking down the street, and he's like, you know, like, my knees have never been the same since. And I'm like, oh no, I'm so sorry. Like, I literally did ruin them. I think I nearly ruined your poor sister too, because there's also that big Havana club dance when Sky Masterson does manage to take Sarah Brown on the date to Havana, and your sister was playing Sarah, and she gets awfully drunk on rum. She doesn't realise she's drinking it, but and then there's this big dance off with like some Cuban dancers and her and Sky, and some of the lifts I was asking her to do,
I remember
she
that.
was like, are you kidding me?
I do remember.
Are you being serious?
I was almost like you were lift happy.
Oh, I was 100% lift happy, yeah. Why not? Go for it. Go hard or go home, right? Yeah, so I do remember those two. I remember nearly getting your husband into his first musical.
Oh, I know. And he attended rehearsals.
He did, and then ran away because his friends wouldn't join him. Yeah, you see, I was on the hunt for guys for that show. I was like, we need more guys.
I know. And he was good. And he would have enjoyed it.
Let me tell you, he picked up the 2-step pretty quickly.
I think it was all those years being curtain man whenever we did our stage school shows. Yeah. He was learning from the side.
He was building his role up, and then...
Maybe one day.
You never know. Do you know, Guys and All was also the first, like, larger scale Amdram show I ever did when I was 17.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was the first show I did, and I remember just feeling like a baby in comparison to everybody else. There I was, a wee fresh-faced 17-year-old surrounded by adults or early 20s. Like, I was the youngest in the cast by far. So I remember it, and then I remember when we did it again. I'm a baritone, so anyone who doesn't know, there's like different like ranges of singing. So the girls, you've got sopranos and altos. Sopranos would be high, altos would be a bit lower.
I'm an alto.
Lauren's a very good alto.
No, I'm not very good.
So, you know, I dream of being a tenor, like a high singing male. Yeah. I am not. I sound like a strangled cat in those higher notes. Okay. So I would be like a wee, like down one, and they're called baritones. But the problem is in musical theatre,
there's not many songs.
There's not many, first of all, baritones, right? But then when you split a song into harmonies, which there was plenty of, let me tell you, in Guys and Dolls, the baritone line is always horrible. Okay. Not easy to follow, not easy to find your first note. So I will never... I think it was the Oldest Establishment, the song I mentioned at the beginning. And the harmony line was just daft. And you would have just seen all the Barrys like leaning into each other to try and listen to each other's note to see if we could find our note amongst, I think there was like 3 of us. Do you know what I mean? Like,
dear.
And it was hilarious to the point it just got laughable. Do you know what I mean? We were like, there's the note. And we're like, late in every time. Yeah, so some of my Barry friends might be listening out there. They'll remember. Honestly.
Give us a shout on the socials if you remember trying to find your note.
Find the note. And I think we requested like be beside each other on stage in the number as well, just to try, but I don't think it worked. Like, I mean, and I think Sit Down, You're Rockin the Boat was another questionable harmony moment in the show where the Barrys just could not find their starting note. But it's funny the things you remember, isn't it though? Like I do remember that blasted harmony line and just not being able to get it. So, yeah, there we go. There's my memories of Guys and Dolls.
Well, there's some nice memories.
Oh, yeah, it's a great show. Like, brilliant show.
It really is. No, I don't think we can talk about Guys and Dolls and not talk about the new revival. Have you seen anything?
No.
Oh, my gosh.
I know. And I have issues here because my dad's going to London in the next couple of weeks. And
Is he going?
Like, yeah, he was like, what show should I go and see? And I have a friend who's been to see it. And so it's an immersive piece of theatre.
It is immersive, which is like theatre in the round. The stage comes up. Yeah. There's some standing seats. There are some sitting seats. Yeah. I have done nothing but watch YouTube
Really?
reviews.
Is there loads on it?
Loads of reviews on YouTube. And I'm like, I'm said to my husband, like yesterday I said to Aaron, by the way, we're going to London. Yeah. Like we need to go and see this. I think because I love the musical so much. Yeah. But I love theatre, and I love whenever theatre is done differently, and whenever they turn things on their head, and I just was like, that's the best way to do Guys and Dolls.
Apparently it's stunning. Like at any point one of the main characters could just walk past you and they seem to usher the audience to where they need to be, so that, as you say, bits of the stage can rise up and down, and like I think you're almost part of it. And then I think they have like a massive party at the end of you know. And it just sounds amazing. So I said to Dad, you should go and see that. Like, apparently it's stunning. He's got a ticket and he is doing one of the immersive standing seats.
Oh, I am so jealous.
Yeah, and I do think I'm going to have the FOMO, a bit like the FOMO I had with the Anything Goes revival that I talked about in the last episode. Like, I'm still gutted that I missed out on seeing that. I hope it hangs around, but productions like that don't tend to. They tend to disappear. They might come back again. But I also want to see them with the current cast. Like, apparently Marisha Wallace is unbelievable as Adelaide.
The little snips that I have seen now, a lot of it has been like what's on stage, so it has been like professional little snippets. Unbelievable. Like, but I love that the cast is slightly diverse. And that those street signs. If you haven't seen anything, I recommend going onto YouTube.
Watch the trailer.
Just watch the opening night and a couple of. I think there's a wee bit at the end where some people have filmed. But they even have the ushers dressed. And you get free trilbies
as like gangsters and stuff. Amazing. Yeah,
like I'm pretty sure I sat for about 3 hours just going, I need to.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of style of theatre has always been about, but it seems to be that productions, especially revivals, are kind of going that direction more and more, which is exciting, isn't it? It's just something new to experience, which I'm not going to experience, but my dad's going to experience. And
let's stay positive. We may.
I don't know when I'm going to get over anytime soon, to be honest. But listen, I hope my father enjoys his time at the theatre.
Let's hope he soaks it in and remembers every single moment and then is able to tell us.
Yeah, but there's another revival of it, you know. Yeah. So this will be the 5th time it's revived, is that right?
I think this is the 4th.
This is the 4th
I think this might be the 4th.
Yeah. Why is it? So why is Guys and Dolls being revived so often? Why is this a perfect choice for this revival?
I think because what your point and what we've said, the songs are unique. Okay. They can stand alone. The characters are really well developed, but also the four characters, you know, your four main characters are all equally strong.
Yeah, you have to be, don't you?
Yeah.
Each of those,
you know, it's
actors
not like
has
the
to
two
be...
and then a you know, a B story, and
Yeah.
they're just like that. I kind of just see it as one big story.
Yeah. The four of them get an equal billing as well, don't they?
Yeah. And everybody loves a wee bit of gambling and a wee bit of like, well, you know what I mean, like
you've Vegas in the blood, Lauren.
I think there's a wee bit of risk, and
Okay,
everybody
yeah.
loves that. You know, get the girl, will you not get the girl? That type of storyline.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I just think it's very cleverly written. Even the fact that it was taken from Damien Runyon's stories.
Mm-hmm.
And the first number is called Runyonland.
Yes.
I love that as well. So the beginning of the show is just a musical piece, but it basically drops you right into New York City.
Yeah.
The ins and outs, the goings on. Like, it's just, it starts with a bang. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It ends with a bang, you know, happy ever after. It's exciting.
Yeah, and I think that's it. It's a busy show, so there's no like build up, you know, to it. As in, you're not like, you start off, you need to learn who the characters are, and then there's this big moment, and then it kind of tails off to a happy ending. It's just go, go, go. A bit how gambling is, and a bit, you know, you kind of, you know, will they, won't they? And also the set design is usually always pretty good, because you do have to feel like you're in New York, and then, you know, underground or whatever.
The sewer, when they go down into the sewer, that's like, so the set is any sets I've seen have always been like, wow, how they can suddenly transform a stage into this like underground sewer-y. Yeah, awesome. And it is a great one to be in. We've, you know, not by planning, but it's just happened naturally. The shows we have chosen to talk about in our first couple of episodes have that kind of ensemble-y element to them. They're all really brilliant shows to be involved in as a chorus member or an ensemble member. I think maybe that's why they're so fresh in our head and why we have so many memories of them.
Yeah, probably because there hasn't always been moments where we've always been a lead or something like that. But it's probably really telling of musicals of that time. You know, they were all sort of written within the same sort of like 50 years of each other that we've been talking about recently, and there was more emphasis on that feel-good factor and musical theatre, and that was for a lot of people's main entertainment. Well, now you're kind of fighting with a lot.
There's a lot out there,
There's
isn't there?
a lot of entertainment out there, so musical theatre.
And different entertainment. Like, it, you know, it's so eclectic now. You know, there's something for everybody. If theatre isn't your thing, there is another type of entertainment. Yeah, funny, you mentioned two interesting points there. About the chorus and the ensemble, we are not always playing the lead. We do our best work and we learn the most as a chorus member.
Absolutely.
You got to do that before you then go on to do a principal role, I think, in my opinion. But also, you talked about that genre and age of musicals. I think, in my opinion, the oldies are the best. Yeah. Would you agree? Or do you think there are modern musicals now will still hold the same like strength and power as the oldies that we've looked at?
I think there's going to be some.
Okay.
There's going to be some very... maybe a handful, maybe under 10, probably will. But I think the whole point with the ones that were written, or the old ones, is it's maybe a generational thing. As in, I know for me, it was maybe more my grandparents were introducing, you know, to my parents, and then my parents introducing it to me. And actually, as I've tried to introduce older musicals to my children, they're maybe not as interested in the older musicals because there's newer musicals for them. There's more for them to avail of.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't know if it's just there wasn't as many back then that were as popular or people really enjoyed, or there's too much choice now for them to make their own.
Yeah.
You know.
Because I find with, young kids that I come across in different groups, like they're all the buzz for like the Legally Blondes or the Heathers or the Hamiltons, and you mention a classic like Guys and Dolls or Anything Goes, and they've no idea about it, and it's like, okay, you need to go and actually watch them. But maybe that's wrong of me, because I feel they are the quintessential perfect like recipe for the perfect musical. But maybe that's wrong of me to
I would
go.
agree with you. But also, there's something that I don't know. Maybe this is just how we were, because we didn't always get to see musicals. You got to go over to London, or very few came over to Belfast. But a lot of the times you're learning musicals by just listening to the soundtrack just on repeat. Yeah. So you're not visually seeing it.
True.
And for us, that was okay.
Yeah.
And maybe we were getting to do little, snippets of it here and there.
Yeah.
From whenever we were involved in different things.
Yeah.
But for that younger generation who are all very visual, and a lot of them are more visual learners, if they don't see it, they can't understand the story.
Yeah.
So they are maybe seeing the ones like Legally Blonde, because it's, we'll probably talk about this in a future podcast about these movie musicals.
Okay.
And these jukebox musicals,
yeah.
and just our opinions on them. But anything where it's like such and such the musical,
yeah,
it's come from a script, a story, a film, it's come from an original source material.
Yeah.
So they've maybe already seen that, so the music going along, they don't have to use their imagination as much.
Yeah, fair. Yeah,
so
fair
maybe
point.
That's why they're enjoying them more than...
Yeah,
the
I just
older
feel
ones.
I'm on a one-man mission to
I love it.
revive these,
old classics.
I don't want to do the modern musicals. I want to give me a Guys and Dolls production, or give me an Anything Goes again. Yeah, it's interesting. Do you have any standing ovations for Guys and Dolls then?
I think Adelaide's got to always be given a standing ovation.
Is that a role that you have on your list?
It's actually not.
Okay, Lauren, I think I need to rewrite your list for you.
Okay.
You serious? That's not. You'd be a great Adelaide.
No, it's actually. Maybe I should think about that.
I
love that role, but then in my head, I've seen and know people who do that role really well. So again, I'm like, I could never do that as good as them.
Rubbish.
But I just love her way. I love that she's been like hanging on for like 14 years. And she's then making herself sick because this man just won't marry her. I mean, I only had to wait 4 years.
Yeah.
Well, no, 6 years.
You snapped him up quick, didn't you?
So, but yeah, I feel like she has a really key part. She's really energetic.
Yeah.
She's great songs,
Yeah,
like really
so
good
funny.
songs. And sometimes, even though you said they all get equal billing, sometimes she is seen as like the support rather than the lead.
Yeah, but I mean, all she needs to do is perform that song, and it's one of those songs that is a standalone, isn't it? It's a talking point at the end of the show.
Yeah, and it's probably why a lot of females would use it as an audition piece.
Okay, yeah.
Because it's an acting song.
Yeah, you've got to be a good comedic actress, don't you? Mm-hmm. Very good.
What about you?
I dream that I'm actually Sky Masterson. I'm that cool, but I know I'm probably more of a Nathan Detroit or a Nicely Johnson, to be honest. I wouldn't say me and love songs go together. Like I've said before. Yeah. Give me funny.
You don't like the straight rules.
Yeah, but there's something about the love songs in this show that I just think they're beautiful. Like, I love Sky Masterson. They come back from Cuba and they're in New York City, but it's like really early in the morning or really late at night, and there's nobody about, and the lights have all been, you were talking about the flashing lights, have all been turned off, and he starts singing this song called My Time of Day, which is, he's singing about how this is when I'm most content, this is what I enjoy, and he's singing it to Sarah, and it goes from that into their love duet. I've never been in love before, and those two numbers, the way they're glued together, I'm just like, it's like 4 minutes of, oh, that was lovely. And I also love at the end of I'll Know, which is when he barges into the Save a Soul and introduces himself to Sarah and is like, you know, do you fancy going on a bit of a date? She's like, absolutely not, you're not my type.
Yeah.
At the end, because he's so smooth, he like kind of wins her round that they have a kiss, and then she immediately slaps him across the cheek, and his response is, I'll come back tomorrow so you can take a crack at the other cheek. And I'm like, oh, that's just so cool. Yeah. Like, so those are my two standout moments of that is sublime. Yeah. Like, I love the slap, and he's like, I'll come back tomorrow and you can take a crack at the other cheek. Like, so smooth. And Marlon Brando, wow.
I know. So just mesmerizing, pretty much in everything he does. But whenever I think of those characters, you know, all of them, I believe that they really are in love. Like, I believe that Adelaide is going to get married one day because they're in love. While whenever I compare that to Oklahoma, I don't believe they're in love.
We're not going back to Oklahoma, Lauren.
I'm just saying, I do think that those characters,
there's more of a
truth in them.
Rubbish.
No, you deep down, you agree with me. Deep down.
I don't know.
Oh, he didn't say no.
I don't know if I do agree with you. Anyway, let's move on really quickly because we don't need to go back over that. We survived episode 2. Let's not tempt fate.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
I really enjoyed revisiting Guys and Dolls. It's such a good musical, and do please check out some of the revival stuff, or just ask your smart speaker or whatever just to listen to the music. It's great. And
go back and listen to the music. We've set up a Spotify playlist you can find. It is on our biog of our Instagram. Is
on
that
our
right?
Instagram, there's the link to it. It's just in Spotify. But if you go to our Instagram first and follow the link tree, you'll be able to get it.
And that's just all of like the songs that we've mentioned in our podcast to date. So make sure you check that out. Also, we need our listeners. I hear myself saying that and I'm like, what are you like, your listeners? But Lauren, we do need our listeners' help, don't we? We
do. We need you to send us your stories. We need you to send us your funny stories or your memories or just your time in theatre, or maybe you've gone and seen a production, because we are going to do a special episode.
Yeah, we kind of feel we've been very giving so far, and we've embarrassed ourselves enough.
Yep.
We've had enough bum time.
Yep, we have.
For everyone. So we've shared quite a few of our embarrassing stories, so now it's your turn.
It is.
Okay? So. Now, you can be anonymous. It is fine. You can state anonymous if you want, or if you're happy for us to say who you are, name and shame, even better. But send all your funny mishaps, your funny times and memories so that we can share them in a couple of episodes' time. Yeah, that would be so fun. So either DM us on Instagram or email us at musicallyricalingo@gmail.com. Perfect. Yay. On to next week. Do you have a clue for our lovely listeners? A clue for next week is you're going to learn your lessons well. Oh, that's a cryptic one. And you sound very serious. It's almost like you're telling me off when you say that. Yeah, or I could be teaching you a lesson. Oh, fancy. Yeah. We all need that every so often, don't we? We do. We do. Hopefully you enjoyed us blabbering on. It was a bit of a blabber today, wasn't it? I know, it has been requested that they're slightly longer. Yeah, so we give our listeners what they ask for, don't we, LJ? We do. Well, until next week then, Lauren. All right, bye. Bye.